Okay, welcome everyone. I am Sophronia Scott, Program Director of the Alma College MFA in Creative Writing, and this is Faculty Friday. It's your opportunity to get to know more about the amazing faculty that we have with us here in our program. And today I have with us the amazing multi-genre writer, Robert Vivian. Robert was born in Denver, Colorado, and raised in Omaha, Nebraska. Dozens of his plays have been produced in New York City and elsewhere, and his poems, essays, and stories have appeared in many literary journals, including Georgia Review, Harper's, Ecotone, Creative Nonfiction, and others. He has published 4 novels, Water and Abandon, and the Tall Grass Trilogy, which includes the novels The Mover of Bones, Lambright Saviors, and Another Burning Kingdom. He also has 2 books of meditative essays, Cold Snap as Yearning and The Least Cricket of Evening. His latest book is a wonderful collection of dervish essays entitled All I Feel is Rivers. He has also co-edited a new and just tremendous anthology with Joel Peckham. It's called Wild Gods, the ecstatic in contemporary poetry and prose. He has visited and taught in Turkey several times and has been heavily influenced by the works of Rumi. In the summer, he tries to fly fish in northern Michigan every day, and when he can't, he dreams about it anyway. And I will note that that last sentence is so true. Excuse me, I'm choked up about it. It's so true that some of our summer residency students are going to go with him fishing. And this is part of our continuation of incorporating the study of place, environment, and nature into our creative writing exploration at the Alma MFA. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Sophronia. I am moved to the depths of my being to be part of this program and to see what you've already done with this program, which is amazing and inspiring. And yeah, so thank you so much. And I guess I would just like a kind of a meditation on this word that is bandied about a lot and kind of do a deep dive on it. And that is to ask our viewers and fellow writers, what is the place of rhythm in your lives? And what rhythms do you try to follow or are aware of? And just to, there are 3 texts I'd like to quote from and just talk with Sophronia about. The first is from a classic American novel called A River Runs Through It. And this is early in the book. And I'll just read a paragraph. As a Scot and a Presbyterian, my father believed that man by nature was a mess and had fallen from an original state of grace. Somehow I early developed the notion that he had done this by falling from a tree. As for my father, I never knew whether he believed God was a mathematician, but he certainly believed God could count, and that only by picking up God's rhythms were we able to regain power and beauty. And so this, I love teaching this book, and as Sophronia knows, I'm hoping to teach a workshop next summer around this idea of rhythm. But this passage points to this idea that we have human-made rhythms, deadlines, academic calendars, but there are larger rhythms of which I think the frenetic modern world is largely unaware, and maybe that's part of the malaise of our time, that we are out of rhythm. And so that's a passage I thought of immediately when we were going to talk about rhythm. And so a question that I would invite people to ponder is are the rhythms that you are currently living under, are they fruitful? Do they lend themselves to creativity, to a healthy, kind of vibrant, organic life? Sophronia gave me this incredible audio collection by John O'Donohue, the late Irish poet, and he has this, well, he has many wise things to say, but one thing he says that's startling. He says, when you're in deep rhythm with your own life, nothing can touch you. And I always took that for not as like an invulnerability, like, oh, I'm Teflon, nothing can touch me, but that somehow finding a deep rhythm with how one lives in the world is the key to living fruitfully in the world.
I agree. I think it heightens intuition, and I feel it not only in life, but I also feel it as a writer. I get this question a lot. How do you know when a book is done? Right? How do you know when a book is done? And and I find it hard to answer that question because so much of it has to do with the feeling. I
Mhm.
feel like the book rides a certain rhythm, right? The story is doing a certain thing, the character is taking a certain journey. And I just have this feeling that when it's over, just like you and I were talking about spring, just when we kind of have that feeling when winter has let go, I feel that this story is done, right? It's completed a kind of process.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm a lifelong Midwesterner, and I love the Midwest, partly because of the changing of the seasons,
Yeah.
which I find a kind of rhythm that is deeply, deeply um, ancient, obviously, but a source of renewal and also grief and also quiescence, but also, life coming back again. And I've found that as a writer, that kind of rhythm makes way more sense to me than anything that we human beings can impose. And so I'm like Sophronia too, in the sense that it's a mysterious thing to me that every work, individual essay, book, it has its own rhythm. It has its own period of duration, and it can't, one, in my humble view, can't impose that or generalize. It's every rhythm is a little bit different, and getting into the rhythm of each work may be one of the crucial aspects of writing. I just offer that as a possibility.
B, how do you make the delineation between rhythm as cycle versus rhythm as sound and pattern?
Oh, great question. I'm not sure I really do. And to that, I've been reading this incredible book. It's called The Dialectic of Duration by the French philosopher Gaston Bachelard. And he has this chapter toward the end of it on rhythm analysis. And it's simply fascinating, where he makes the case based on other thinkers that basically life comes down to a series of vibrations.
Mhm.
Everything is a vibrational field. And that writing is simply one of those.
Mhm.
And if I could read, this is in talking about the lyrical impulse. This is Bachelard. Rhythm analysis is the complete antithesis of psychoanalysis, in that it is a theory of childhood rediscovered, of childhood which remains a possibility for us always, always opening a limitless future to our dreams. Every lyric state must originate in this truly enthusiastic knowledge. The child is our master. Childhood is the source of all our rhythms, and it is in childhood that these rhythms are creative and formative.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that blew me away, and I thought, that's it. That's what lyricism is. It's childhood reclaimed and rediscovered.
Wow.
How that answers your question, Froni, I'm not sure. Less kind of obliquely, but it's yeah. So Bachelard is big on the side. So the rhythms of words and then the cycles of maybe the macro and the micro, like the natural world, are actually profoundly related.
Mhm.
They can't really be separated.
Yeah. So if we, and we're, this is short, so it's not like we're going to get into all of the depths of this, which is why you have to do a workshop on it because we can't do this in 10 minutes. So in order to wrap this up for our listeners, then what would you encourage them to focus on first in order to bring this sense of rhythm into both their writing and their lives?
Great question. I think to really sit both meditatively, but also actively with the question of what rhythm truly fuels you, and honoring that somehow.
Yeah.
I kind of think of it like a huge droopy sunflower that tracks the sun. It's in complete rhythm with the diurnal patterns of sun. And I think of creativity in that way too, of aligning oneself with a greater rhythm. And then it seems to me that we naturally are creative just by a byproduct of that alignment.
Yeah. You know, I think what you said about sitting with it, about being quiet, I think that's a necessity, that there has to be a certain amount of absence in order to see what rhythm is there. You make me think about Toni Morrison when she said that once she finally lived alone, once her sons were grown and gone, that she had to figure out when she wanted to eat, that she realized she had been eating on other people's schedule and patterns her whole life, right? So she realized that there was a new rhythm, an opportunity to create a new pattern in her life, but she couldn't recognize that it was even needed until she was alone.
Well, we've talked about this for years. Of course, you wrote about Thomas Merton, but we don't all have to be monks, but there is something deeply wise about, I don't know, in whatever way one can, given all the demands of modern life and family life, of finding periods of solitude. Because I don't know how others feel, or you, Froni, it's hard to have clarity about these things when everything is going 500 miles an hour and you're constantly gregarious and you're constantly with people. It just doesn't seem natural, if I could be, you know. So yeah, I love that anecdote about Toni Morrison. That makes perfect sense. And that's such a great question to maybe quasi end on. It's just, what schedule are you on? And is it feeding you? And a parent's schedule, of course, dictated by their children, and it's just beautiful. But as a creative, to ask yourself, well, is this schedule working for me? Could I mix it up, tweak it a little bit?
Well, let's leave it at that. And I am so happy that you, the viewer, got to listen in on this conversation today. I hope you will be back for many more. We are the Alma College MFA in Creative Writing. We are currently taking applications for our next residency. You can find out more at our website, alma.edu/MFA. I'm Sophronia Scott. He's Robert Vivian. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.